All right, everybody, welcome back with another episode of BFI, Black Financial Initiative. I have a very special guest on today. Larry, who do we have?
We got Jayson Thornton, aka JT. JT is the owner of Thornton Advisor Group. He was named the best accountant out by St. Louis Small Business Monthly, the #1 Missouri financial advisor by Top Rated Local. JT, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. Gentlemen, thank you for the invitation. All right, let's get this thing going, man. I'm on a hot seat. Let's go.
All right, good deal, good deal. Let's see here. I see you have CFP after your name.
Yep.
So what is a certified financial planner and what was your educational background to obtain that?
All right, so certified financial planner, the CFP is basically the CPA for accountants. The CFP is for financial advisor. It's the highest mark that you can achieve as far as education, experience, the toughest exam to prove to the world that you know what you know when it comes to working with clients and helping them meet their financial goals. In order to do that, you have to have a bachelor's degree education, bare minimum. You had to study financial planning in college. Then you had to pass an extremely hard exam. It's a 6-hour long exam over income tax, financial planning in general, estate planning, investments, retirement, all this stuff you have to be able to do within 6 hours. You pass that exam, then you have to also have at least 3 years of experience. And then you also have to uphold the ethics of the CFP board, basically saying you're not going to be a crook. You're going to make sure that you put your client's best interest first before your own. If you can do those 4 things, you can have CFP behind your name.
Good deal. Was it I heard you say like the educational background, the bachelor's, was it did you have to do something like accounting or finance, or could you do psychology and then take a financial course?
You can. My route, so I have an associate's degree in accounting. I have a bachelor's degree in marketing. But what you do is you can supplement your bachelor's degree with post-college education in a CFP board registered program. So you have to, be able to enroll in a financial planning program that is registered with the CFP board and approved that says, okay, you are learning the core curriculum of the CFP board. Then they'll let you sit for the CFP exam. I was able to do my CFP education through Howard University School of Business before I could sit for the CFP exam.
All right, nice. And you also mentioned in there the ethics part. So I'm sure we'll roll back into that in a little bit. But you told us a little bit about how you got to where you're doing what you do. But now can you tell us about what you do? So tell us about the Thornton Advisor Group.
Sure. So the Thornton Advisor Group, it grew from my original practice. When I originally graduated from college, I went to work for my family. My father is a small business owner, been a small business owner my whole life, right? So since the age of 9, I was really put in a position of a bookkeeper for the family business. And then I grew up, went off to college, came back home, and then I was his personal financial advisor for his business, for his personal life. And then eventually what happened was my father got audited by the IRS. And he got hit with the tax bill that was like over $500,000. And it was my job to represent him before the IRS, a lot of back and forth at different hearings and stuff like that. But I ultimately got the whole thing settled for under $5,000. So obviously my parents are excited. They're telling all their friends and all their business contacts. And eventually I had to hang my own shingle. I had to start my own business because so many people were coming to me for financial advice and tax planning and helping them out of tax problems with the IRS. So that's originally how it grew. And then it just kind of grew from there as far as financial advising, tax representation, tax preparation. It just got so big that I could no longer only have my father as a client.
Talk about a great reference.
Right. Yeah.
You can't beat that. You can't beat that.
You said when you like about 9 years old or so, they were having you kind of run the books, I guess. How instrumental do you think that was into, I guess, kind of where you are today?
I mean, it's huge. It shaped who I am. Now, I want to be clear here. It wasn't because I was super, super, super smart. I am in a family of, many older brothers. It is a scrap metal recycling business. At the time when I was 9, I was the youngest. So I wasn't outside in the yard, in machinery and equipment and doing all that. He had me in the office because what I believe, it was just the safest place to have a 9-year-old boy. And, if you're in a small business, then you understand that your family plays a role in your small business. Why? Well, you don't got to pay them all that much. You got all these sons. You don't have to pay them the same as you would have to pay a full-grown man. So it also helps. So we all played a part in the business. It's just that my parents kind of chose me. Hey, you're going to be in the office. You're going to be dealing with this. And it shaped what my personality is, because my father taught me to do math quick in my head, because I had to do math quick in my head to serve in the function of a bookkeeper. And that spilled over in the school, all the way to the point where I got the highest math grades in elementary school, to the point where they put an award on you and call you the math elite, because I was able to do math so well. To me, it wasn't that big of a deal because I was used to it working with my father. But, to other students, it was like, it wasn't that big of a deal. But to me, you had to get it right. And that's how it translated.
Well, even if it's indirectly, I think that's amazing that your family was able to help you, as far as your financial education as a younger age.
Oh, yeah.
So,
it was huge
in the Black community.
Yeah.
So we said all that to say, you have a YouTube called Pocket Watching with JT.
Right.
Some might think it's controversial, So
I don't know why. It's weird how it came about. I don't see how it's controversial, but maybe that's just how my personality is. But I'll give you a little insight of how that all started. So obviously, I am a certified financial planner. I have clients who I work with, and we create a financial plan to help them meet their goals. We set a budget, we figure out what's the best tax plan to do, how much they should be investing, what they should be investing in, right? So that's kind of a picture of what a full financial plan is going to be. Then, because we live in a world of social media, my clients from time to time will see something online. They'll see something on Instagram. They'll see something on TikTok or whatever, and they'll hit me up and they say, hey, JT, I just saw this thing on TikTok or Instagram. They'll text it to me or they'll DM me. Can we do this? Can I add this to my financial plan because it looks really good? Well, 9 times out of 10, it's not. 9 times out of 10, this information is being presented by someone who has no financial education whatsoever, or it's some sort of scam or some sort of hustle of how you can try to deduct your personal expenses as business expenses, or you can hide money here. It's all these weird off things that no reputable accountant or financial advisor would advise their clients to do. So Pocket Watching with JT kind of grew naturally from the fact that they were sending me this information. I would have to review who this person is. I would review their financial information that they were given, and then I would give a critique. I would explain to the client why this is bad information. And I was like, man, this would actually be good for other people, because these clips are getting like thousands and thousands, and in some cases, millions of views. I've already did the research for my client. They already paid me, right? They already paid me to do the research. Now, if I just cut on a camera and represent the information that I already did for my client, now I can help other people too with the YouTube channel. So it just kind of grew to Pocket Watching with JT, me reacting to what I see as bad financial information on social media.
And there's a lot of it out there. So I'm glad that it came, to see how it came around organically, just you seeing, and not even just you, but your customers or clients seeing how it's just out there, and people fall for it and take the bait. So it's nice to see there's somebody out there, trying to counter the lies with some truth.
What here's the issue. The issue is we are a part of a community of people who are striving to do better financially. I'm a big proponent of that. I champion that. I'm the biggest cheerleader you can find when it comes to looking at people who are trying to better themselves financially. The issue is when you have a community of people who are striving to do better financially, but they are not financially literate, anyone who comes before them, as long as they have enough confidence in what they're saying. Now, if they're umming and ahhing and they're looking around and they're looking shifty, you probably won't follow what they're saying. But if they're coming, they're telling you, oh, and here's the great thing. If they have a whiteboard behind them with a magic marker, right? If they got a marker and a whiteboard behind them, anything they say is legit. They got a whiteboard. You know, if they got a whiteboard and they start to throw numbers on the board, listen, they might as well have a PhD in business if it's the Black community. So I don't blame the victims, the consumers of the information, because I feel as if they should be attempting and looking for more information to help them financially. I blame the perpetrators, the people who won. They know they are not educated in any kind of accounting or finance to make any legitimate claim that they know what they're talking about. How do I know? Because they always hit you with the disclaimer, I'm not a financial planner, I'm not an accountant, I'm not a lawyer. They're doing all of these safe words and things that make you say, okay, you know, don't hold me accountable for the things that come out my mouth. But then they proceed to give financial advice, all of these disclaimers, but then, all right, now I'm going to give you financial advice. So it's really just trying to bridge the gap between having a extremely ambitious group of people who want to do better and explaining to them why all of these shortcuts, all of these gems and things that people are telling online where it's not good information. And some of it is even fraudulent criminal information that can get you in trouble. And it's like, I'm in the middle. And I can see how some people would be like, oh, well, you just hating. No, I'm not hating. I'm trying to keep you from committing a crime. But to them, it's like, oh, you're stopping me from getting a bag. And it's just me in the middle trying to explain to people, listen, regardless of how you feel about my tone and the way that I'm saying it, at the end of the day, you have someone who has dedicated a majority of my life to helping people do better financially. And then you have a bunch of people who just pop up as grifters trying to just get a bag real quick. That's the difference.
That bag won't do you no good if you're in prison.
Listen, they don't even understand how there's a lot of these guys who are getting caught up, the PPP loans and all this stuff, who had millions of dollars, but they end up with a public defender because the government seizes all their assets. You can't even use that bag to get an attorney to help you get out of the mess that you put yourself into in the first place. So yeah, the bag isn't going to help you ultimately if you got it fraudulently. I know I sound like old school and just cranky and but listen, if you are trying to build wealth in this country, I don't know about other countries, right? I've never been to some small village somewhere on another continent. I know the United States of America. If you are trying to build wealth in America, you can do it legitimately. You don't have to have shortcuts. You don't have to live in a gray area. The main thing you're going to need is discipline. Are you going to be disciplined enough? Are you going to work hard, regardless if you're working for someone else or you're working for yourself? Are you going to enter into the marketplace and find some competitive advantage that makes your labor more valuable to the world than someone walking off the street? If you can do that and make sure you're not spending money on stuff that you don't need to impress people who you don't know, and they don't even care about you at the end of the day, you can save, pay down debt, and invest your way into becoming a millionaire. But can you delay gratification in the short term to become wealthy in the long term. Most people, for whatever reason, refuse to do that. I don't know why, but they refuse to do it. They want the money now. They want to be a multimillionaire by 21. If they're not a multimillionaire by 21, they're a loser. They didn't achieve the potential that they're looking for. But ultimately, they end up dying with a negative net worth. So what's the point?
And there is no point if you're doing it that way. And it's like you said, a lot of times, it's not always, but sometimes there's people in social media where they get that image, you know, somebody that with the whiteboard behind them, like you said, that said, hey, by 19, I had $1 million. This is how you can do it too.
Yeah.
So they think, man.
And the thing is, it's a fairy tale. Here's the other side of it that's frustrating. You can buy your way into legitimacy when it comes to social media, right? There's this whole thing of podcast payola. A lot of people are trying to find their financial literacy information from a podcast. I mean, a podcast can give you general good information that starts you on your way, but it's not the beginning and the end of your road of getting good financial information. It could be the beginning and it can help you throughout your way, but it shouldn't be the beginning and end. But for some reason, our community, as long as you watch a podcast once a week, you have a millionaire mindset. The issue comes from, you can buy your way into these large podcast platforms. A podcast with 1 million subscribers or whatever, if you give them a bag, it's documented. If you give them enough money, they will invite you. Well, not invite you, they will let you on their show. They won't mention that you paid your way there, but they'll let you on the show. They'll let you sell whatever it is that you're selling. And then at the end of the day, not only did you give them money on the front end, but if you're selling a course for like $3,000, they'll take 20, 30, 40, and sometimes I heard 50% of the sales of the course that you did on that show. So for me, professionally, that's a conflict of interest. If I was to advise a client, you should do X with your money, or you should buy this, and I don't also disclose, listen, I'm making money off the fact of you buying that, I could lose my license. I am within this world of actual regulation, but these people who operate as financial gurus online and they sell all these millionaire boot camp courses, it doesn't matter. They'll give the podcast some money to get on the show. And they also say for every person who buys a course using your code, you can get $1,000. So to me, that's where you're crossing the line of trying to provide good financial information in an entertaining way, which isn't easy. It's not easy to provide education and entertainment in a way where people will actually view your content. But you're crossing the line from doing that to actually being predatory to your audience. Your audience is unaware of the financial relationship between you and the guests of the show. Because I can tell anybody watching right now, I did not pay to be here. I have never paid to be on anybody's show, podcast, or whatever. I have even been offered an opportunity to pay my way onto someone's show, and I told them no, thank you, because it's just, to me, it's scammy. It makes me feel unethical to buy my way in. If you don't want me here based on the content that I'm able to provide, well then we'll see how we go down the road.
Man, you said a lot of good stuff. Going all the way back to the discipline, I definitely agree with you there. I think discipline is a huge part of it. Yeah. Also had a question about, you were saying as far as like, you don't know why people would want to do it. Do you think the American mindset is the have it now, I guess, mentality? Like it's put into shows and everything else of like, I need it right now, right now, right now. We
live in a culture that is blow money fast. Songs, videos, social media, everything is promoting to buy or get what you want right now, regardless of how you have to get it, right? Get it now. You never know what may happen tomorrow. Have fun now. Go, 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 go. But the question is, okay, well, who controls this culture, right? Do we control it or do outside forces control it? Because if we control it, we have to point the finger at us, right? What are we consuming? What are we promoting that is telling us to be irresponsible with our money? Because that's what we're doing on both ends. Not only are we financially supporting a message of being irresponsible with money, we are then following that message by being irresponsible with our money. We could, if we wanted to as a culture, immediately change the narrative with how we vote with our dollars and our eyeballs. If you are not watching this content that is promoting irresponsible financial behavior, they will get no views. They will not get any type of sponsorships or ad revenue. So they will shift what they present. The question is, do you really want the things that you say that you want? It's like a girl who complains about the type of guy that is always attracted to them. Well, if you gave the bad boy, the baby daddy type of guy, no attention, then your reputation would dictate the type of guy who would start approaching you. Oh man, don't mess with her. She don't deal with guys who got babies. She don't deal with guys who hustle. She only deals with guys who got good jobs. And you know,
you're gonna hurt some feelings.
Hey,
oh yeah, he already. I see a left hook right to the gut. He hurt him out there.
Hey, I'll say this. One of the biggest issues that we have with whatever so-called leadership that we have in our community is that they care too much about the applause from the audience. They care way too much about how the message that they give is received rather than if the message that they are giving is actually being heard. See, I care nothing about the way people receive my message. I look at some of the comments that people put on my YouTube videos, and I just sit back and laugh at the frustration and how mad people are and da-da-da-da. I'm like, listen, man, if I cared anything about what you actually applaud and what you like, look at what you like. You like rappers who will use the N-word 100 times in 3 minutes. Mm-hmm. People who will use the B word about their so-called queens, right? They're supposed to be Nubian queens, but they'll call them B words 100 times in a song. Not only guys cheering this on and loving it, girls cheering it on and loving it. So if you're snapping your fingers and dancing and applauding that, why do you think I care if you applaud me? To me, your applause is more of an insult than actually promoting my content. I want you to be mad. The person who loves the filth of our culture, I want you to hate what I'm saying. Because what I'm doing, I'm dropping seeds. See, I'm not a country boy, but I got a father who had more experience in this world than I did. And I can tell you this, a true man who drops seeds is not looking for a tree to be there 5 minutes after. A true man who drops seeds know that work has to be done after you drop. Dropping the seed is the first step. Yeah, you drop the seed, but are you cultivating the ground? Are you watering it? Are you making sure it's getting the right sunlight? See, in time, that seed will actually grow into what you are trying to get to. But if you're so frustrated that a tree doesn't pop up 5 seconds after you drop the seed, you miss the assignment. You don't know what you're trying to do. I know my assignment. I understand the message that I'm giving. I understand that the financial stuff that I'm giving and the fiscal conservative talk that I'm giving isn't something that my community right now wants to hear. But I'm Johnny Appleseed. I'm dropping seeds all around this country with my 60,000 subscribers. And down the road, I will see trees. I'm not worried about, yeah, brother, yeah. No. Some people go as far as call me a coon. But the person who would call me a coon today, 5 years down the road, they say, you know what? I listened to that brother, kind of changed some of the stuff that I did with my money, and it helped me out. Because I don't give a damn what you're saying now. You still in the filth of this culture right now. You can't even see me. You're in a haze. You're in a fog right now, brother. I can't even complain about your mindset right now because you are focused on all of the flash and the trash of financial experts who tell you you can be a millionaire. All you gotta do is buy my course. All you gotta do is do what I did. So you are so lost in the sauce of the BS that you're feeding right now that I care nothing about how you react to my content now. See me in 5 years. Then we'll have a conversation.
Man, it sounded like he was a preacher there for a little bit.
Know, right?
Hey,
Watching
I grew up in the
Tabernacle.
Kojic. You took me back. Boy.
Yeah. I was like, boy,
Yeah,
watching Tabernacle. Bishop Thornton up there.
My father says I get passionate about it. And he understands why I get passionate about it. Now listen, I will always tell people that I hit the lottery when it comes to the parents that I have. My father made someone who would be passionate about numbers. Because honestly, I'm telling you, that 9-year-old boy who started out as a bookkeeper, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to do the stuff that my older brothers was doing. Because in my mindset, they were actually more helpful to my father. The ones who are in the machinery, the ones who are working in the yard, I felt as if their role in the company was more important. And if it was more important, then that means my father respected them more. I saw what I was doing as more busy work. Then as I got older, my father explained to me that what I was doing was some of the most important work that needed to be done in the business. Working with the money and being able to give him accurate financial information so that he can make business decisions so that the business could grow. He explained to me that was some of the most important stuff to be done. And in my mind, it's like he made me into someone who would care so much about the numbers because ultimately that's what makes a business grow. That's what it makes a person's personal financial situation and net worth grow better. So, he always says that, JT is passionate about this because that's the way I made him. So you got what you got. If you don't like this, you can blame my father because that's what he made.
Hey, man, sounds like your father put you on game. That's
Right.
what I got from it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So for other people out there that weren't put on game and like you said, some people are lost in the haze and the fog and fall for these scams and stuff. What are some of the biggest scams you've seen and how can people avoid those and be on the lookout for them?
All right. So there's different categories, right? The very first thing you have to understand is if you're dealing with someone who is claiming that they are going to help you financially, there's a difference between the guru who is going to offer you lessons in how to build wealth. Then there's the person who goes the next step and says they are going to actually help you invest your money to help you build wealth, right? Both aren't good guys to me, but one's a little bit more dangerous than the other, but I'll explain why. First, let's talk about the course selling guru. The course selling guru is going to give you this backstory about how they were able to make money and how you too can make money with the system that they got. All you have to do is buy their course. Understand that is not how business works. See, when you have a competitive advantage in the marketplace, you do not then sell that competitive advantage to other people because you would be creating competition for yourself. So that's red flag number one. Why would anyone teach you the secrets of how they're able to get rich? Because you will pop up as competition to them. So anytime someone's telling you, oh, I can get you to do this, that, or other, it's probably BS that no longer works anymore. That's why they're selling it. And then you also got to look at the price. Why are they coming to you and selling you a multi-million-dollar business education for $1,000? Right? It's like the numbers just don't add up. So there's the fake guru who's selling courses. The one that you really need to pay attention to and watch out for, though, is the fake guru who actually has the investment opportunity. This one will milk you dry. I mean, $1,000, $2,000 on a course. Yeah, I mean, you might get in that sales funnel where you're buying a course every other year. Sooner or later, that person wakes up. But the person who comes to you and say, listen, I know how to make money. Give me your money so I can make you some money too. That's the person you got to watch, because when they don't come for $1,000 or $2,000. They come for your entire bag. And the first thing you have to ask yourself the question is, why are they coming to you? Why are they coming to you? In the world of investing, it makes more sense for me as a certified financial planner. If I was the type of person who invested people's money, I don't take my clients' money. My clients' money normally goes to a third party, bigger institution. They never write me a check for their investment. They only write me a check for my services. But let's say I was that type of person. I would not go to someone with an extremely low net worth. I would be going to someone who whole life savings is $3,500, right? Because it makes more sense for me to go to millionaires and deal with 3 or 4 accounts of millionaires than go around and get hundreds and hundreds of people who only have maybe a couple $1,000s to their name. That is a red flag. There's no reason why you would ever invest your money with someone who's going after little bitty small accounts. It's dumb. Then just check the credentials, people. Never give anybody any money to invest for you if you can't check with the SEC. The SEC is going to regulate investment advisors. You can go to the SEC's website, plug their name in there. You can see if they have any bad history or if they're even licensed in the first place. Or you can go to FINRA, you can go to brokercheck.org, and you can see if this person is actually licensed to sell you any kind of stock, bond, mutual fund. Check and see if they're licensed. If they are not licensed, no, do not give them any money.
That seems simple enough right there. I mean, basically, like you said, if they don't have the credentials, they probably don't know what they're talking about. And you really hit home. I mean, it makes sense. I never looked at it that way. But if someone is fishing for a lot of the small fish, it's probably something weird going on there.
Yeah. Now, I want to touch on why, even though that sounds simple, why people still fall victim. They still fall victim because your money and the way that we have a relationship with money is not just logical. See, if we had a logical relationship with money, for the most part, I don't even think my job would exist if people use their money logically. See, we use our money emotionally, right? Money is something that we use largely in our community to help us get through our emotional problems, right? A lot of people have identity crisis that they don't want to talk about. A lot of people have identity crisis and they have no idea what I'm talking about. What I mean is they don't know who they are. They can be 18 years old or 82 years old. They don't know who they are. They're searching and looking for something to make them feel important in the world. And how do they do it for the most part? The way they spend their money. So instead of doing the things that like my father's generation or my grandfather's generation did to make a name for yourself, to create an identity, to find value, what do? Well, I'll get a fancy car. See, if I get a fancy car, that means I'm important, right? Let me pull up in the Charger sitting on 22s and everyone knows that I'm important. I can't be important pulling up in a Honda Civic, right? I mean, who would take me seriously if I pull up in a Honda Civic that's paid for? No, I'm going to go into debt so I can pull up in a Dodge Charger sitting on 22s. Now I'm important. But when I go home, I'm dealing with the stress of how am I going to make this car note payment? This car note payment may be between $800 and $1,200 a month. I only make $35,000 to $45,000 a year, and I'm already in debt with all the other BS that I spend my money on, once again, in an attempt to impress other people who do not care anything about me in reality. the only gratification I get is when I pull up to the club, people look and they give me the head nod and they say, oh, nice. How long does that last? 15 minutes.
Yeah, not
Because
long
when you're in the club, they don't know anymore, right? It's only that little bit of parking lot pimping that you did, right? So you're talking about what, 7.5 minutes when you pull up, about 7.5 minutes when you pull away. So you're talking about a total of 15 minutes that you spent soaking in the glory of all the debt that you put yourself into to impress people that in 2 days will forget everything about you.
Mm.
But you go home and you live with the debt that you put yourself into. That's a problem. Once again, there is an identity crisis that goes on in our community. That's a mental health issue that needs to be addressed. All the money that we're pushing on buying fancy stuff. Imagine a woman who lives in Section 8 housing, food stamps, but she has a Gucci bag. Why? What image are you trying to portray? Are you trying to portray to me that you have the same net worth of a middle-aged to older white woman? Because you don't. Because you think you walking around with the same type of bag that some white woman who has a multi-million-dollar net worth, you think that now you have the same value in this world that she, no. And the thing is, they know they don't. They know they don't. Inside, right here in that core, they know when they're in the quietness of their self, not when they're in the party and they're putting on the clown face as if they're living the best life that they are. No. I'm talking about when they take off all their costume and they have to sit in the quietness of being by themselves. They know that they're fake. They know that they are an imposter. So where do you go? What do you do? It's like a person who is overweight, but they console themselves by eating. It's an endless cycle of consumerism, of buying to make yourself feel better about the bad decision of what you just bought 2 days ago. You end up in debt. You end up in an arms race on social media. One person pulls up in a Dodge Challenger, and then the next person has to pull up in a BMW, then the next person has to pull up in a Lambo, the next person got to pull up in a Phantom. All of it's leased. All of it is a depreciating asset that is making them no money whatsoever. But we are competing against each other to show off the fake wealth that we really don't have. That, here's the worst part. All of this consumerism never fills the hole that's inside. They never feel fulfilled. Never. Maybe that moment when they're showing off in front of their friends, they feel kind of good about their financial choice. But once again, that's only a few moments. They have to actually live 24/7 with all the BS that they have to deal with. How do we change that? We have to have leaders in the right place who are willing to shame this type of behavior. But they have to also realize they will not be supported financially by these same people who you're shaming. You can't shame a person in their bad behavior and then expect them to throw money in the collection plate or expect them to actually support what you're doing. See, that's why I'm glad when I got on YouTube, man, I already made my money. I don't depend on this. So I care nothing about the reaction of the people who watch my content. You don't make me money. I'm giving you what I feel is a mission for me. This is a mission. Pocket watching with JT has become a mission of mine. So I do not care how people react. I do not care if I'm hurting their feelings. If what I'm saying is accurate and right, you have to eat that. And like I said, I'm dropping seeds. 3, 4, 5 years down the road, they'll get it. Or they won't, and they'll die with a negative net worth. And you'll just be in the same place where I found you. So there is no difference.
Yeah, and you probably have hurt some feelings with some of your videos you've made.
Oh, he's hurt feelings in this one.
And honestly, on the Instagram, some of the videos, you don't even say anything. You just let them talk. You'll let the scammers talk. You don't say anything.
Those are the best ones. The ones where all I have to do is just replay the information that they're presenting and just say, what? Just let's listen to this. Just listen to this. And people get it. See, they wouldn't get it if they watched by itself. If they just watched it on the fake guru's channel, they would be like, yeah, this sounds good. But just with me just saying, listen to what they're saying, people get it. And that's why I know in the long term, the message that I'm giving out will penetrate a good number of people. But you're always going to have people who aren't going to get with the program. But here's the issue, again, with the generation that we're dealing with. There is a thing and a concept of competition. See, I turned 39 this year. So I remember a world of winners and losers. It was a reality. Everyone did not get a participation trophy at first. I remember when that stuff started happening, when I would look around and be like, hold on. I really didn't do anything here. Don't give me the I showed up award. that don't quite make sense to me. Because when I win, I want to be able to show off the fact that I won. Don't give me the I showed up award now, because I want to be able to show off when I win. So we live in a world and we have a community that for whatever reason feels as if there should be no losers. No one should lose. No one should feel bad about losing. We used to have a community that fought for an opportunity in this country so that everybody has the same shot, the same opportunity. Now we have a community that, for whatever reason, they want the same outcome. Like, no, play, that's not, you don't get the same outcome. You can have the same opportunity. It's like a race. Everybody gets to line up at the same line. If you have to line up about 2 blocks behind me, that's unfair. You should protest about having to line up 2 blocks behind me before the race starts. But when we're all at the same line, when the race starts, and I just so happen to get to the finish line before you, don't start crying to the referee. No. We had the same opportunity. We're not going to have the same outcome. There's different levels of success. One of the greatest quotes that I always tell myself and I tell my kids, I talk about how comparison is the thief of joy. Yep. You could be happy with what you got in isolation. But the second you start to look around and see what other people got, first you'll see the people who have less than you. And then now you feel even better. Because at first you felt good. But then when you look around and see what someone else doesn't have, now you feel even better. But you're not happy with that. You got to go even further. And you start looking around for others. And now you start to see you don't have the biggest slice of the pie. There's people who actually have more than you. So instead of being content with the best that you can do, now you feel bad because there are others who have more. And now the victimhood starts to come into you and say, well, why do they have more than me? I want it just as much as they want it. So why can't we all just have the same amount? Well, you didn't do the work that they did. Well, they got something from their parents. Well, your parents didn't do the work that their parents did. When you boil it down, someone did more work than someone else at some point. You cannot complain about outcomes. You should only be focused on opportunities. But as long as you think that there should be no winners and no losers and everybody should kind of have the same amount of stuff just because you're alive, right? You have the existence award. I exist, therefore I should have. That is not real, man. We live in a world of competition. That's why I love being someone who's self-employed. I eat what I kill. I'm not an animal in the zoo being fed by the zookeeper. I'm in the jungle. I'm a predator. I go out here, I find work, I deal what I got to deal with that work, and I bring it back home to my family. And we're able to prosper like that. That's the type of world that we're in. Everybody wants to be a domesticated cat. But remember, when it comes time to get your pets sprayed and neutered, you're in that number. So stop complaining about what you get when you're a domesticated cat. You get what your master gives you. I'm a small government person. I'm the type of person where the government should be in like the referee in a good game. In a good game, you barely even see the referee unless something crazy happened and he's got to come in and set the record straight based on the rules that we all agreed on in the beginning of the game. Don't change the rules while we're playing. If we agree to a set of rules, I want the referee to enforce the rules that we agreed to. But in a good game, you barely hear from them, right? You got people who want the referee to help them win. Shot doesn't go in, they look at the referee like, yeah, I was fouled. He barely touched. No, see, that's the type of world that we have. And that type of mindset is translated through our culture into our pocketbooks. And we're wondering why there's still a wealth gap. The wealth gap is maintained by the way that we spend our money. If we would change the way that we spend our money, if we change the way we think about how to build wealth, you will see a difference. But what we have is a system in place where so-called leaders have made themselves multimillionaires off of what? What product do they produce? What service do they produce? Would you be surprised that Al Sharpton has a multi-million-dollar net worth? The question is, what does he do? What service does he provide? What product does he provide that the average person on the street would say, I think he should be worth at least $1 million? I'm unaware. If someone could clue me in, I'd appreciate it. But I don't know what product or service he provides that would actually demand from a regular marketplace that he should be worth $1 million. I don't get it.
I don't know what it is either, but I bet he does have that multi-million.
Man, easily.
So going to, we talked about earlier, you're hurting people's feelings. Have you hurt any of these people's feelings to the point where they've came to talk to you? Like they reached out to you?
I mean, early on, extremely early on, I did this one video on people who do this mail chain stuff. This is like old school, like bad financial scam stuff. So there's chain letters. Back in the day, before the internet, you would get a newspaper, and in the newspaper, it would say, hey, there's a business opportunity where you can make, I don't know, $100 a day, something like that. Just send in for the paperwork and you'll figure out what happens. Send me $100 and I'll sell you the program. Well, you send in $100 and the program is put ads in the newspaper telling people to send you $100 to tell other people to put ads in the news. It was a chain letter thing. That's the thing, right? Well, there's people who are on the internet who are basically doing the same thing with these postcards. And I did a video early on about how silly this was and how they're not really selling anything but the opportunity for you to sell postcards, to send postcards to other people to send you money. They started calling my office and whatnot and say, hey, they were a little upset with that, but that was nothing. They called like once or twice. That wasn't a big deal. But when I started to go to people who I had no idea who they were, but they have huge followings online. And I just, same way that I did with the little guys, I would show the videotape of them saying something and I would explain why it was BS. I did it with a character who calls himself Him 500. So Him 500 was on a podcast, basically explaining how to commit bank fraud. For those of you who are unaware, bank fraud is when you go to a bank and you lie on forms in order to get money that you would otherwise have no access to. That is bank fraud. See, people understand blue collar crime. right? They understand blue collar crime. If I was to rob a bank, I would go into a bank, I would present a gun, and I would tell them, give me the money in the register. The elements of that crime is simple. I'm going to a bank and I'm using a weapon to take out money from the bank that I normally would not have access to if I didn't have the gun. That's blue collar. White collar crime is the same thing. We're just replacing the weapon. The weapon in blue collar crime is the gun. The weapon in white collar crime is paperwork, right? I'm using the paperwork as my weapon to take money from a bank that would normally not give me the money if it wasn't for this weapon that I'm using, fraudulent paperwork. Well, this is basically what Him 500 was advocating for people to do. I did a video explaining how this was bank fraud. Then all of a sudden, the bees started buzzing around me of his followers, other people that he was connected with, like other platforms that he's done interviews and stuff on, and they were upset. Now, I don't understand why they were upset with my critique of his information. They should have been more upset with him giving bad information, right? He's like, don't be upset when the cop pulls you over for speeding. You should be upset that you were speeding. But people, they're not self-reflective like that. Like me personally, because of the parents that I had and the sports like that I play, like I could talk forever, so I could stop me when I go too long. But I played football in high school, but the sport that really shaped who I am to this day is wrestling. See, in football, you can hide.
It's a humbling sport.
Yeah, you can hide in football. You can have a bad game and the team still win, right? You can hide a little bit in football, or you just don't start. You have a bad game, coach, get him out of here. You're on the bench. Team could still win. See, in wrestling, baby, it's just you. It's you and another guy on the mat, face to face, nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. If you lose, it's because you weren't good enough. And everybody knows, right? Everybody knows because they're looking at you. And that experience of wrestling, and I got to wrestle at a really high level in high school to the point where I'm always looking for a way to own up to whatever BS that I'm in. I'm asking the question, how did I create this? Because I know if I was the one who created the problem, I'm the one to get myself out of. See, if you're always looking for who got you into this, who to blame for the problems that you're in, then now you're also looking outside yourself for who can get you out of the problem, right? That's how I feel these guys are. These guys who are upset with the content that I make, they're upset with me because I'm critiquing bad financial advice. They should be upset with themselves for not, if you're the host of a show and you're bringing someone on, maybe you should check and verify if the information they're given is accurate or not. See, that's on them. But it plays back to your character. Are you willing to own up for a mistake that you made? Or are you looking to make someone else a scapegoat as to why something bad happened? I don't know who raised these people. When I made a mistake, when I spilt the milk, my parents made me clean it up and own up to it. I didn't get to blame, hey, the window was open, so maybe the window was open and some wind came. It was none of that. No. You knocked it over, clean it up, deal with it. And that's just me. So I expect to continue to upset some people. It's to the point now where if someone is not upset by my content, I didn't do my job. Not that I'm trying to be controversial, is that I'm not trying to placate to people who are normally in a situation that people just give them what they want. I'm not going to be someone's yes man. I refuse to tell people what they want to hear, because what you want to hear is not good for you. Even if you're paying me to tell you what you want to hear, I don't give a damn. I'm going to tell you what my unbiased opinion is on the situation, and you can deal with however it makes you feel on the back end. Deal with it. Because what I have to say is based on years of experience, years of education, and a little bit of my father and my mother's, old school teachings to me. Period. If you got a problem with that, it's probably based on the fact that I am stepping on your toes. People have heroes, right? People have heroes. I'm a LeBron James fan. Wasn't at first. Let me be clear. Because LeBron James graduated high school a year after me. I was originally a really big Dwayne Wade fan because I felt like, hey, he went to college, he was a little bit more established. I saw what he did. LeBron James won me over based on his body of work, based on all the hype that was around him. That type of hype crushes the average person.
Ooh.
He has been on the national spotlight since he was a child and has not buckled. He has exceeded the expectations. Why are you talking about this? Why are you talking about it? How does LeBron James get into this? Because I am a fan of his. But when he does something like he does a play, or he passes the ball, or he loses a championship, I'm not making excuses for him. I'm a fan, but I'm not a fanboy. I am going to recognize greatness, but I'm not going to deify someone. That's the problem. A lot of these guys who are in some of the content that I make, they have fans who have deified them. They can do no wrong. And if they do wrong, here's the crazy part. If a fan of theirs actually admits, yeah, JT, you're right, but why you got to put them on blast? Why didn't you call them? Call them? I ain't go to middle school with none of these dudes. I don't have their phone numbers. Call them? What are you talking about? Why didn't they call me before they put the bad info out? Mm-hmm. I'm a certified financial planner. They could just reach out to me. Hey, JT, I did an interview with Mickey 2000, and Mickey 2000 said this. Is that good info or bad info? I can tell them, no, that's bad info. Okay, thanks, JT. I won't air this episode. They didn't do that. So if they're not reaching out to, it doesn't have to be me, I'm just joking. If they're not reaching out to actual credible professionals to double check the information, because almost none of their shows are live. Like some of the shows that they do is live, but a lot of these podcasts are pre-recorded. That means they have the time to verify the information that their guest presents. Why are they not doing it? I think it's because they don't care. I think it's because the more exciting and wild of the financial information that their guest is given, they know there's going to be more views. Because how many views can you get by telling people you need to save your money in an emergency savings fund, about 3 to 6 months. You need to pay down your debt. You need to avoid trying to buy luxury items when you have a negative net worth, and do the best you can to invest for your retirement. That's not sexy. That's not sexy. And if it's not sexy, you don't get the views. If you don't get the views, you don't get the money. So once again, I have to just say, I had a bag before YouTube. So I'm not going to allow trying to find ways to get views to steer my content in one way or the other. I can talk about whatever I want to talk about. Because I don't even do an interview show. I don't bring on guests every week. Right? If I had to depend on trying to get a guest that my followers and my viewers would like, that would drive me insane. I don't bring on guests to my show. I'm the show. My reaction is the show. Either you like my reaction to whatever's going on or not, but I'm not going to put myself in a situation where it's like, oh, who is it going to be this week? Do I pay Dame Dash $100,000 to come onto my show? Because I know he'll do numbers. Do I get Bandman Kevo? Do I give him $30,000? Because it's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm gonna let y'all do that. And I can react to it. That's my show. I'm gonna let the other big financial podcast channels, I'm gonna let them interview these people. I'm gonna let them pay for guests or get paid for guests. And all I gotta do is react. Because I'm not driven by the money. I'm driven by my passion to show good information financially versus bad financial info. That's what it is.
Plain and simple. Man, you said some good stuff. You heard the initiators out there. Please stay tuned, everybody. I believe you've talked about the student loan forgiveness.
Yeah, recently. Yep.
Yeah, recently. What do you think about the whole Biden's plan and everything? Once you say you're small government, I would assume you're against it.
I'm absolutely against it, and here's why. And for those of you who are getting it, well, congratulations. Take that money and pay down your debt. But here's the problem. Government handouts hurt more than they help. When you start to depend on the government to bail you out of financial situations that you put yourself into, you will see what's referred to as a moral hazard. A moral hazard is when you take away consequences from someone's actions, you will see that person progressively do more risky behavior because they had no consequences. It's like a child. See, when a child starts to do bad behavior and you don't immediately start to punish that child, you can't wait till the kid is 17 and 18 years old and think, okay, now it's time to get the boy in line. Now that boy is destined for the pen or the grave site. It's going to be tough to get him out of one of those paths because you have not disciplined him all the way up to that point. How does that relate to this? Our government handouts. One of the biggest impactful things that happened to me politically was my pro bono work. So as a financial planner, I do easily 20, 30 hours of pro bono work a year. For those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, pro bono work is when a professional provides their services for free. Now, don't get it twisted. Don't Google my name and start calling my office because I don't do pro bono work through my office. I do pro bono work through nonprofit organizations. So you're not going to get free work out of me. You call my office, you paying the consultation fee. Believe that. But years ago, when I was doing pro bono work, I was working with a client who, in my mind, they improved their life so much. Working with this client, they probably doubled or tripled their income. They were doing so much better. So when I was reviewing that tax return with them, when I was reviewing that information with them, I'm geeked. I'm excited. I'm like, listen, man, we went from here and now we're here. Look at these numbers. You made so much more money. You're doing good, man. You're right on the path that we were talking about. See, I'm so excited. I'm not even paying attention to the look on the face of the client. By the time I put my eyes up, because I'm looking at the numbers, I'm trying to show them the numbers on the paper. When I actually tilted my head up to look into the eyes of the client, they weren't excited. They weren't happy the way I was happy. I was trying to, okay, at a point I stopped, I was like, what's wrong? I'm thinking maybe something happened before they came into the office and their mind isn't focused on this good news. But what they tell me is that they were worried because now it looks like they're going to be pushed off of welfare. They're not going to get their food stamps. They're not going to be able to stay on Section 8. See, they're not trying to improve financially because they have been hooked on a welfare system that does not incentivize you to build wealth. Here's an issue people don't even understand. When you are on these programs, you can't build wealth because if you have X amount of money, let's say $5,000, $6,000 in an investment account, welfare office say, oh, you don't need us anymore. You're gone. So a person who wants to stay on the program, what do? They avoid building wealth. See, they can spend $3,000 or $4,000 in a year on luxury items and stuff like that because they don't have to fill out the form that shows that. But if they put that money in an IRA, that gets reported. So this client who I thought improved their life, who in reality they did, they were so stuck on a government handout lifestyle because it wasn't just them. Their parents was on government welfare, their grandparents, they know the system. They were afraid to live a life without that handout and actually pay for stuff themselves. So much so that they were willing to quit their job and work part-time so that they can stay on that welfare. So government handouts, this student loan forgiveness, it's a slippery slope. Yeah, it's $10,000 this time. What's to stop it from being $20,000 or $50,000 next time? My mother taught me a long time ago, do not feed stray dogs. It doesn't matter how sad and pathetic that dog looks. It doesn't matter how much extra food you have on you that day. Because if you feed a stray dog just once, that dog will come to you every day to look for more food. Now, some say, well, JT, are you comparing people on welfare and comparing people who are getting these government handouts to stray dogs? Yeah, I kind of am. Yeah, because what's going to happen is if someone bails you out one time and you find yourself in that trouble again, you're going to be knocking on that government door and say, hey, you helped me out last time. Can you help me out this time? And I'm saying, no, you don't need that. You can get it with what's already available. Now, some will say, well, JT, are you a coon talking about pull yourself up by your bootstraps? See, that's what a coon will say. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We came over here on slave ships. We didn't have boots. I agree. But this is 2022 in America. See, in 2022 in America, everybody got boots. Because if you don't have a boot, you can go to one of the various either nonprofit organizations or government entities, and they will give you a boot, they will give you a coat, they will give you housing, they will find you a job. The question is, are you using what's already available? So quick to ask for more when you haven't even took advantage of what's already there. We are dealing with grown children, 30, 40, 50 years old, but have the mindset of an 8-year-old child. A child has a mindset of always wanting more before they look around and assess, what have I done with what I've already been blessed with? That's the issue.
Man, that's what my little kid does now. You know what I mean? She got a little taller. That's one of the first words, more. More. More.
Learn
But
that word quick.
I expect that out of a child. I don't expect that out of a man who's 35 plus. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Now, what if somebody says that the government shouldn't be giving out these loans? Do you have anything to say to that?
That they should not?
Yes.
Okay. The person who says that is being intellectually dishonest. Because if the government's not giving out this loan, that same person, racist. Black people want to improve themselves and they want to get a better education, and the racist government will not give them a loan. Then they'll say, well, okay. The government should give loans, but they should only give loans for people who want to get an education in STEM, get an education in things that actually make sense. Once again, racist. My child who wants to study underwater basket weaving will be a billionaire. But the racist government won't give him a student loan because underwater basket weavers don't make a lot of money. But my kid will. You can't win for losing with complainers. A complainer will always find something to complain about. They are not doers. They have nothing on their resume that shows that they can actually produce something in the world that's valuable. The only thing that they can do is try to take money from other people who are working. They're like a gnat flying around you, right? A gnat can't kill you, right? A gnat is not some sort of predator. They're just annoying. You swipe at them, you get them away. That's how complainers survive. They survive and people just, here's a grant. Go shut up, go play around. Be an executive director of a nonprofit organization that does absolutely nothing, but you pat yourselves on the back every year at ribbon cutting ceremonies. Leave us alone. That's what they are. They're just annoying. But they don't do anything. They don't produce anything. They have no works. I'm only concerned with people who have works. I don't care their rhetoric. I don't care what they say. I do not care about their tone. I care about what have they produced in the world that has done something for themselves and something for others. That's the real measure of a man or a woman. It's not, what can I consume? My self-worth is not tied to the type of car I can buy, nor the type of home I can buy. My self-worth is tied to what can I produce into the world that's going to live beyond me and is going to affect other people in a positive way. But there's a level of maturity that has to happen to get to that point.
Preaching again, faith without works is dead.
Yep.
It sounds like kind of listen to our college podcast. We went over the kind of the majors basically that are making money and the ones that aren't. Mm-hmm. We tend to be in the ones that aren't.
Why? Huh? Because they're easy.
Mm-hmm.
They're easy. See, that people don't understand that there are measures that you go to school for that are going to create an opportunity to have a living wage, to be able to take care of a family. Then there are fields of study that are only intellectually pursued. You study that just for the love of the game, baby. You're not gonna make any money doing that. Someone called into my show the other day and they talked about how their wife has a $70,000 degree in African American studies. Now listen, I'm as black as they get. I don't think you can't, I refuse to believe there's another man who's blacker than me. Like, you're not blacker than me. I don't care if you try to say, well, man, I grew up in the hood and was on the corners, and that don't make you blacker than me. That's not a black experience, an authentic black experience where you have to have a grown up in an environment that was criminalistic. That's not black experience, right? That's just your experience. There's a difference. I refuse to believe there's anyone who's blacker than me, right? I studied and took a couple of courses in African American studies in college. They were electives. They were my senior year. They were extremely easy. But to go into debt, $70,000 in debt for an African American studies degree, which this woman was not using at all, other than the fact that she has a degree, but she's not teaching African American studies. Her profession has nothing to do with African American studies. That is ridiculous. They go to these degrees because they're easy. They run away from hard work. I come from a family that believes in education, that believes in going the hard route, believes in, don't work harder, work smarter, but it's not cut yourself out from the process of actually becoming better. Mm-hmm. I can point to nothing in my life that I see value in that came easy. Nothing. There's nothing that I value that came easy. Everything that I value, I was able to get through hard work. But if you don't wake up in your early 20s, in your 30s, maybe in your 40s. By the time you get mid 40s and 50s and you haven't realized that a life worth living is a life that has experienced trials and working hard and yes, experiencing failure, but learning from the failure, dusting yourself off and going at it again. You wasted your time, man. You wasted your time. I don't believe in reincarnation because I haven't seen it. I think this is my only shot that I have. And if this is the only shot that I have, I'm going to live it at its fullest, but I'm also going to do it in a way where I feel as if my work will matter. If it comes fast, it will leave fast. You will not actually have any real retained value in the way that the culture is telling you to achieve success. A lot of it's a lie. We have rappers who are professional liars. We have internet influencers who are professional liars. They don't even live the lifestyle that they present on social media, but they create a sense of FOMO, a sense of fear of missing out to their followers who are doing everything, breaking their neck to try to make themselves appear as if they're on the same level as the people who they follow. When the people who they follow know it's a game. They know it's a trick. They know that they are the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain, pulling the levers. They know. And they're just watching you and amazed, giggling to themselves about how I'll be able to make that Lambo payment this month. Because look at them. Look at them. They think this is real. It's not. I've had high net worth clients who played in the Super Bowl. They don't live a rock star lifestyle every day. Maybe a weekend, but not every day. They fly commercial. They don't fly private every day. Why? You can't keep up that type of lifestyle even if you have multiple millions of dollars. But we have a guy in the Midwest making $65,000 a year trying to compete with what they see on Instagram. Insane. Insane. That's the only word for it. You are mentally insane thinking that that is actually a feasible thing to do. Why? It ties back into self-worth. You have no identity. And because you have no identity, you're searching for all of these things outside of yourself to make you whole. And I'm telling you, that hole is so big, you'll never fill it with stuff. Stuff can't fill that hole. Whatever you believe in, God, the universe, whatever, you got to figure out what makes you without all the stuff. Strip you down. Take off the watch. Car repo. House foreclosed. Who are you then? That's who you are. With or without the stuff, I am who I am. The stuff just makes life a little bit more comfortable. But I am who I am with or without the stuff. So I care nothing about how people may perceive this message. They can't knock me off what I know who I am. But once again, I come from a privileged position. I had great parents. I had great coaches. And I'm a bit of an asshole. And being a little bit of an asshole helps about not caring about how people think about you. It's not the greatest characteristic to have. My mouth has got me in trouble since I was a child because the way I talk now is the way I talked then. But it is what it is. I don't care.
So you've been dropping information this whole conversation, and I think you've answered this question throughout the conversation as well. But I'm going to ask you, what can Black people do to build wealth?
All right, here we go. Listen. Number one, stop thinking of yourself as a victim. You're not a victim. Stop trying to get paid back for work and burdens of prior generations of people who you have not experienced. Yes, the story of our people originally coming to this country is a horror story. But what our people have been able to achieve from that point moving forward is a triumph. We've turned tragedy into triumph. Is it fair? No. But once again, who lied to you? Life is not fair. It has never been fair. It will never be fair. You need to, one, recognize where you are right now. What's the reality that I live in right now? Can I build wealth? Can I first create for myself a skill set that is beyond my labor? If you believe that you can be the head of a household of 2 or 3 people, and the only thing you will have to offer the working world is your labor, meaning you can pick up a box here and you can put a box there. You can pick up a broom and you can sweep. You can take dishes off a table at a restaurant and put it into a bucket. That ain't gonna do it, baby. That is not the type of skill set that within this country, you can live a middle-class lifestyle. And if you think it should be, you're wrong. You have to, one, realize, okay, after high school, can I develop a skill for myself that is going to bring me a middle-class wage? Do I need to go to trade school? Do I need to go to junior college? Do I have to go to a 4-year college? Or can I immediately enter into an industry that is going to be willing to invest in me at an entry-level position, so within the next 3 to 5 years, I am on track to make good money? Now you're on your way. After you deal with that, then you have to understand, most people who live paycheck to paycheck, they think they have an income problem. Meaning, if I only made more money, all my problems would go away. I'm making $35,000, barely making ends meet. If I made $60,000, I would be on cloud 9, no problems. You're wrong. You do not have an income problem. You have a spending problem. You have created for yourself financial obligations that your current income cannot meet. And if you were blessed to go from $30,000 to $60,000, you would continue to create financial obligations for yourself that you could not keep even at $60,000. So first, check the way that you're spending money. There is an entitlement issue. An entitlement issue. People believe they deserve some sort of Cinderella prince type of lifestyle. You don't. No one deserves that. You don't get to drive the fanciest car. You don't get to live in the nicest house. You don't get to have the perfect wife and kids and family just because you want it. Wanting it is the start. Okay, yeah, you want it, but you have to actually do the work to get it. And if you're unwilling to do the work, then you are where you are in life for a reason, not because of some grand conspiracy, not because of what someone else did to you. For the majority, there's always oddball situations where you were a victim, directly a victim of something that affected your life. I'm talking about generally. Generally, you are where you are in life because you earned that position. If you're making $150,000 a year, but you're living like you make $250,000 a year, you're still broke because you have a spending issue. People need to create a budget for their life. Stick to that budget. Have a budget where you spend less than you make. The difference between what you spend and what you make, that is called savings. What you do with that savings is you create an emergency savings fund. So you basically have a bank that you created for yourself. so that when emergencies happen, unexpected medical bill, unexpected car expense, some sort of repair you have to do, you don't have to use a credit card or run to a bank. You have an emergency savings fund where you'll be able to make that expenditure and not skip a beat. Then you have to start to pay down debt. You're doing all of these things before you buy the Louis bag, or you buy the Air Jordans, or you go on a family vacation to Miami. You have to understand there is no wealth fairy floating around with a magic wand, picking and choosing who's going to live a comfortable life. You have to be willing to make a sacrifice. And it's not even a real sacrifice. It's you not indulging yourself like a child in a candy shop. You're getting everything you want because you just want it and it looks nice, and because someone's willing to sell it to you on credit, but you cannot afford it. I'm a big believer. If you have a terrible life, you earn that life based on the choices that you make. You have a great life and you just don't recognize you have a great life, you earned it based on the choices that you make. So make better choices. Black people want to build wealth in America. Make better financial choices and realize no one deserves, no one has a God-given entitlement to the luxuries of the world without doing the proper work to get it. That's what I got.
Plain and
Sounds
simple.
simple.
Hey,
Yeah.
I think the message is pretty consistent, man. We've done so many episodes and have so many different guests on, and the message might be delivered in a different way,
Right.
but when it comes down to it, it's all told the same, man.
Yeah.
So
Listen,
JT,
gentlemen, I appreciate the invite, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, for sure. Where can people find you?
Oh man, easy. If you can stand all that I just said, and you still want to explore more what's going on with Pocket Watching with JT, the easiest way is to simply go online and go to pocketwatcher.net. Pocketwatcher.net. All of my links to my YouTube channel, to the podcast, to my actual firm. I do have a day job, people. I'm not just a guy talking on YouTube all day long. I do have a day job. So if you have tax or financial questions and stuff like that, you want to book a consultation, you can click the book a consultation button. We can do it in person, online. Just go to pocketwatcher.net.
Want to thank you for coming for sure. Dropped a lot of good information, probably hurt some feelings, but I think everything was legit though.
Appreciate you, Bishop Thornton.
Man, I could never do that job. Nah, sir.
You had some great stuff, man. I don't know where I disagree, but you had some great stuff.
I appreciate it. At the end of the day, it's brothers like you who are, obviously there's a pursuit of trying to give great information in an entertaining way. The issue is you don't blow up fast in the route that you guys are going. Right? You don't blow up fast doing this. Bringing on qualified people and stuff like that is good information, but there is the temptation of bringing on the flashy guys who will get you the views. And I feel as if a lot of the podcasts that are featured on my show, they were like you guys at one day. One day they were like, y'all just, let's try this out. Let's see something. Let's, try to get good information out there. But at some point, that devil on the shoulder popped up and said, hey, man, there's a way that you can actually make some money doing this. You could pay some big name celebrity come on and get you a bunch of views. Or there's a guy over here selling courses that's willing to give you $50,000, bring him on the show. The question is, what decision do you make when presented that opportunity? Do you go on the side of, hey, whatever, I'm gonna stick up for my ethics, and if we don't blow up really, really fast and it takes us an extra 5 years to get to where we wanna go, I don't care. Or do you go the route of, listen, man, by any means necessary, I want this thing to blow. And if it's paying a celebrity to come on or taking a bag from some online scammer. I don't care.
Mhm.
It's gonna come. The question is, what are you gonna do when it comes? I was offered a few $1,000s to take a video down from someone you would recognize if I said their name. Got the contract still in my email. I turned it down. And listen, no video I have ever made as much money that he was offering. No one video has given me the amount of money that this person was offering me to simply take the video down. Not only was I offered the money to take the video down, I was offered the opportunity to join the club. I could be interviewed on their podcast, and then I could be maybe the financial advisor for some of all the D-list celebrities that they know. This is what I was offered. That's why I say I'm glad that I came to this with a little bit of money in my pocket.
Yeah.
It keeps me from making the bad choices. So just know it's coming. It's coming your way. If it hasn't come already, it's gonna come. What are you gonna do when they make the offer?
It's gonna be hard to turn out $50,000.
Man.
Don't play us like that, Larry.
Hey, Larry, don't put it out there, man. Hey, we all have our day jobs.
Right,
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just, it just
we
comes
know what
down
the
to that.
intent is, man. We started this after the George Floyd and now they're going down, and felt like we had a duty and we could put out a message for everybody.
That's what it is. So, gentlemen, I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I think I do great work that is needed. Just keep plugging away, and I'm telling you, it if you're willing to work the plan, it will work. Most people don't have the spirit for the long-term journey that it is to be successful. That's why only a few are. Only a few are wildly successful. It's not meant for everyone to be wildly successful.
Right.
You have to be able to define what is success for you right now. Right now, name what success is for you so that when that offer comes and you be like, oh, no, I don't need that because I know what success is for me. You got to name it now, because if you wait to name what your number is, then any number comes in and they say, oh, man, you thinking your number was 50,000. They come with 250,000. You're like, hey, I guess I gotta go now.
Oh, Larry. I see we gotta monitor Larry.
It's like, you gotta go. So it's just, trust me, it's gonna come. And just be aware when it comes. They may come at you at an angle that you weren't expecting, but it's gonna come. You just gotta keep plugging away and doing the work that y'all doing. So, gentlemen, I appreciate it. I gotta go, but thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you again.
I'll continue
to
be a spectator and watching your content. Thanks.
All right, please do.
Appreciate it, JT.
All right, man. Thank you.
Have a good night.